Hello guys, let's talk about file paths. So an HTML file path is used to describe the location of a file in a website folder because file paths are like an address of a file for a web browser. So when we can link any external resources to add in our HTML file with the help of file paths. For example, if we want to show an image, a file, some CSS, we want to link some CSS file to our HTML document, to link some JavaScript file, or we want to show a video and all of that. And usually we are going to use attributes like the source attribute and the href attribute. These are attributes that will require, to link that will be required if, for example, you want to link any external source to your HTML file. So there are different types of methods that you can use to specify your file paths. For example, here I have this image tag here. If you want to create an image, you have image and you will need this particular attribute, as I was saying, the SRC or source attribute, to specify the path to your image that you want to show. So here, when you write it like this, it specifies that this particular photo, that JPG, is located in the same folder as the current page, as the current HTML page. Okay, we can also have another way of specifying the path. For example, if I copy here and say images / photo.jpg, this particular line of code or this path that we have specified here, it specifies that photo.jpg here is located in the images folder, okay, in the current folder. So that's basically what it means. There's another way to specify the location or the path to our photo.jpg. Let me copy and paste. Like if we say images, no, we added another / but before images here. So this here will specify that photo.jpg is located in the images folder at the root of the current web or HTML project. So that's basically what it means. We can also add another line here and say that here, instead of having images like this, we will say that like this. So this particular line of code or path simply means that we are specifying that the picture.jpg here is located in the same folder, one level up from the current folder. So that's basically what it means. Okay, so as I was saying, so you can use file path on your web page to link to your external files or images or videos. For example, if you want to link to another web page, like if you can say a okay, this is the tag to create a link to another web page or another file, and in href here you can specify, the page you want to link to. For example, if I say that pexels, for example, .com, like this, you can add some text, and here we say visit pexels.com and close the anchor tag. So this is going to create, a link here, as you can see. So when you will click on that, it will show you a website. So that's basically it. So we can use file path to actually link to web pages like we've done here. We can also, and then always remember, all the nuances here, depending on the location of the destination file or the destination web page. You have to make sure that you specify you know, um, the correct path here. And what I just forgot to tell you is that for example, here, what we have specified here is if you want to, if your photo or your file that you want to showcase on your web page is located on your machine in a physical, on your machine in a folder that you have created in the machine. But there's also a way to do that if you want to showcase or display an image that is hosted on the internet. Okay, for example, if I come here and say pixels, okay, like here, if I want to showcase this image, I will have to copy the address of this image. Like here, let me first copy and paste it here. And I will come and copy the address of this image and specify it here in SRC. So this is going to make sure that now we can see the image will show. Okay, so these are ways to actually display or specify the destination path of your file, of your image, of a web page that you want to link to your HTML document. And as I was saying here on the internet, you can do just that as well. So let's come back here. So you can use file paths, okay, to link to external files like web pages, like images, what I've just shown you here. You can also link to style sheets or your CSS file. So that's this line of code here. I think we've already done videos on how to link to external CSS files. So you need to add this line of code here. And as you can see, we are using href attribute here to specify, the path to that CSS file. And also, if it is in a different folder, you have to make sure that you copy the correct path to this CSS file as well. You can also link your JavaScript file. So this is the line of code that you need to write in the head section of your HTML document if you want to link your JavaScript external file to your HTML document. And here we are using the SRC attribute, and inside you have to specify the correct path to that external JavaScript file. So that's basically that. So another thing that we can talk about is that there are two types of file paths. So you have the absolute file path and the relative file path. Okay, so the absolute file path is going to specify the full URL of your address. For example, this that we have done here is an absolute file path. Okay, when you specify the full URL address of of the file that you want to show or you want to link to your HTML address. So when it comes to the other type of file, as I was saying, we also have the relative file path. So as for the relative file path, it specifies uh, to a file which is related to the location of the current page. So that's basically what we've done here. So these ones uh, specify a file which is related to the location of the current page. Okay, so all these four here are relative file path. So I can write a comment here by saying like this: relative file paths, like this, because they specify to a file which is related to the location of the current page of the current HTML. And down here we have examples of absolute file paths. Absolute file paths like this. And as I said, an absolute file path is going to specify the full URL address. So here is the full, but here the path to the file depends on the location of the current HTML document, and it's also a local folder that you have on your machine, and you have to specify that as well. So that's basically what we can say about the difference between the two types of file paths. All right. So some important things before ending the video, some important things that you need to know about the file path is that you always have to remember to use the proper URL, okay, the proper path or the proper URL, the proper file name. For example, here, if you stored your photo with a different name other than photo.jpg here, it will not show on the screen because the name will not be correct. It will not correspond with what you have in your folder. You also need to have the correct file name, the correct image name. So that's what I was saying, the correct image name, the correct file name. If your file was named image, for example, but you write images, it will not work as well. If your photo was named image.jpg, but you write photo.jpg, it will not work as well. So you need to make sure you have to always remember to use the proper path, the proper URL, the proper file name, the proper image name. Else, it will not display on the web page. Else, the file will not display on the web page. Else, the linkage will not take effect. For example, for your CSS as well, if you don't put the proper URL, the proper path, the proper file name, the proper extension, the proper image name, this will not work. Another thing that you need to know is that you have to try to use relative file paths so that your code will be independent of URL. So that's also something that is important. For example, here it's a URL, something that we've just taken on the internet. Okay, we don't have the right on the image that we are showing here on the screen. So if the owner of the image decides to take that image off the internet, it will affect our web page. Okay. Meanwhile, with relative file paths, we have control on what we are showing on the screen because we have the folder, the file, and everything locally. So we have control over that. But as for the URL, we don't have control over that because um, the owner can decide to take it off the internet and all of that. And here is another example of a URL. This is a website that we have on the internet. So if the site closes, it will affect our website. So you always have to try to use relative file paths so that your code will be independent of URL, of public URL or public images that you can find on the internet. So guys, we will end the video here. That's just what I wanted to talk to you about. Files, the two types of files, the relative file paths and the absolute file paths as well. And that was it, and how you have to use file paths and the important points to note about the file paths. So I hope the video was informative enough, and if you liked it, feel free to hit the like button and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you have a question, put that in the comment section and we will continue our discussion over there. Let's meet in the next video.